Welcome to the platform, Doctor.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here.
It's an honor for us.
Oh, wow.
A huge one.
I'm also honored. It's always good to talk to other women and to have discussions that edify each other.
So, Madam Chipo Mtasa is a businesswoman and she's also a corporate leader. These are what we call the industry leaders. So it's an honor. You get it when I say it's an honor having her on the show. She's also the chairperson of the Mtapa Investments Fund. Do you have anything that any portfolio of yours that you'd want to share with Africa? We're speaking to Africa, not just Zimbabwe.
Well, yeah, you speak about Mtapa Investment Fund, which I'm honored to chair.
Okay.
This is absolute national service, and I don't shy away from being very proud as a Zimbabwean. It's a privilege to be assigned such a huge assignment for the country. You may be aware that Mtapa Investment Fund is an inception by the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe,
okay,
Dr. Mnangagwa, and his team who saw it fit to reclassify most of the state enterprises to fall under Mtapa Investment Fund. The object being that we need to redirect these enterprises to start generating some money so that it can create more money for investment, and that investment should create substantial wealth for the country and for the average Zimbabwean. I know it's a process. These are very, very early days. And with anything new, it comes with a lot of noise, with a lot of discomfort. But I am sure that the foundations we are starting to lay at the moment as a board, along with our management team, will result in something significant. You may be aware that as board chair, I'm not executive.
Okay.
Our board is strictly non-executive, with two executives who sit on the board, who are the chief executive and the chief investment officer.
Okay.
So those are tasked with the day-to-day activities of running Mtapa.
Okay.
Ours is an oversight role.
Okay.
Ours is a role of bringing Mtapa out to demystify it.
Okay.
At the moment, a lot of mysteries surrounding Mtapa, but we are hoping that in the due course of time, at least during our tenure, things will become clearer.
Okay.
We've just launched a website.
Okay.
So you may want to view that website.
Okay.
Is the first beginning of us coming out.
Okay. What's the name of the website?
www.mutapa investment fund.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
.co.zw.
All right. So you mentioned that the fund was established to benefit any ordinary Zimbabwean. How has it been benefiting ordinary Zimbabweans since its inception?
Well, you know that it was incepted, I would say 2 years ago. 2 years is a very short time to have produced any meaningful result, especially where we are coming from with the state enterprises. And in the 2 years, I think most of the work was just to establish, to put up a team that will be working towards the generation of value. I would say that the generation of value is coming from two aspects. One, from the services that are being brought in by the state enterprises. There is energy, the power issues. There is transport through rail, through also road, public transport. There is also telecommunications. There is also the mining and financial services, as well as real estate. We are hoping that as we look at our clusters at Mtapa, the enterprises should be capacitated to be able to bring in better services. What do we mean by better services? Electricity is a big issue for us. We want to see that maybe it's much more available, reliable, and cost efficient. So that's what we mean by benefiting. In the transport, we also want to see big issues coming out in the transport sector, particularly around rail. Yeah, so that our goods can be transported more efficiently and at a cost-efficient level. So those are benefits. But over and above that, we are expecting that any organization that will come under Mtapa will operate commercially. What we mean by commercially is that they should make profit. And if they make profit, the owner, in this case who is Mtapa assigned by government of Zimbabwe, should be receiving a dividend. That dividend has to be invested for the benefit of growth, of more wealth for not just Mtapa, but for the people of Zimbabwe. I'm sure you are aware that the state enterprises used to contribute a lot to the country's gross domestic product. So we are expecting that this contribution has to come back. I'm not so sure whether it will come back to the 40% levels that it used to, but it has to be a meaningful contribution to the income of Zimbabwe. So that is the benefit that I'm talking about. So it's not an easy thing, because from where we are coming from, quite a number of things need to be happening. But that's why now there's a management team in place to ensure that some of those building blocks are put in place and that we can operate. It requires a lot of patience. It requires a lot of understanding. There's a lot of misconceptions around it at the moment. We are aware, but I am sure with time things will become very clear.
I'm glad you mentioned it requires a lot of patience, understanding, and there are a lot of misconceptions around that.
Yes.
Because an ordinary Zimbabwean doesn't even know what Mtapa is all about, how they can benefit from it. So thank you for the clarity on that one.
Yes.
So we don't want to dwell much on your Mtapa portfolio. I'll ask you my one last question around the Mtapa portfolio. What are the key issues that arise when doing business through a conglomeration of various agencies that have banded together and performed differently?
Well, the major issue really is to say which area is the most important. It is always conflicting. Each area, obviously, each entity is an important entity. How do we address that? How do we make it a meaningful entity? How can we address its issues and the challenges that they are facing? So I think the major challenge is in prioritizing, because everyone is pushing for attention. Okay. So prioritization, as well as just ensuring that there are sufficient systems to allow that entity to perform and perform at an optimum. So I would say those are the major challenges that we have. Obviously, there's issues around capitalization. Everyone wants money to be able to do extra. Okay. Where do we get that money? So again, it's for Mtapa to answer those questions and to address.
Okay. So we said prioritization and capitalization.
Yes.
Wow. I'm a good student.
Yes. And also, I suppose another critical area is to ensuring that there's good governance throughout in the entities and in Mtapa itself. So I think that is the third pillar that I would give you.
Okay.
Yes.
You stand out as a leader and a powerhouse in the corporate world. How do you measure your success beyond financial achievements?
Well, I think it's a matter of perception, you know, like financial success. I don't consider myself financially successful at all. I still have, I still battle to pay my bills. And, but really, I think I would want to define success as what Paul J. Mayer says, that success is the realization of predetermined goals, personal and even corporate goals. So once one has clarity around their goals, what they want to achieve in their personal lives, in the business life, and you then do roadmap to achieve those goals, I think that's part of being successful. And goals obviously may be immediate, short term, medium term and long term. There has to be clarity around that. And also there has to be clarity around are we measuring? What are we measuring? What are the targets? I think my background as an accountant makes it very easy for me to... Accountant? Yes. Okay. Yeah, to be... to define targets. You know, we as numbers people pretty much get to the story, to say, let's get to the numbers very quickly. And I think that, to me, has been a very important resource that I've always used in my personal and in my business life. Right now, I'm retired. The Mtapa assignment, as I say, is a non-executive role. What does it mean? I don't work at Mtapa. When I go and chair meetings, I go and chair meetings, most of our board meetings and board committee meetings, they are once every quarter. I actually sit on other boards in the meantime. I sit on a banking group where I'm deputy chair. I also do the same. So in my personal life now, I'm more into wanting to go into a farming business where we are developing an agro-industrial special economic zone at our farm. So yeah, there's a lot that...
So you say you are retired?
Oh yes, I retired from Tel 1 in 2022, is it? Yes.
And the airport company?
Well, the airport, it was Air Zimbabwe. I resigned from Air Zimbabwe, chairing the Air Zimbabwe board, because Air Zimbabwe is now reporting into Mtapa. So Air Zimbabwe now has to have a different board to... But
it's still under you?
It's still under Mtapa, yes.
Interesting. Yes.
So
over the years, how do you define your leadership style? You're very reserved. You've got a lot to give out there, but you don't want to come out there. Very reserved. You don't see you addressing women at conferences, yet everyone is always talking about Dr. Chipo Mtasa. How can you define your type of leadership?
I don't think I'm reserved. I disagree. Okay. It's just that it depends where you want to see me. I've addressed quite a number of events. Just next week, I'm actually addressing some women for the Women's Day. At my church, I'm very active. I'm very vibrant within the church circles. In business circles, here and there, I'm seen. But my leadership style is very situational. For example, in Tel 1, I think I want to define my leadership as transformational. Okay. Transformational in the sense that we needed to transform the entity from being a parastatal, which was a monopoly, to a commercial entity, which is competing with all other entities in telecoms. So as a result, I needed to be transformational. Where I've been before, I suppose it was still a bit transformational, but with a touch of just being maybe, I wouldn't say conservative, but probably a touch of aggression. That's what I would say in my description. Why it was needed is that I faced a lot of challenges, particularly at shareholder levels. That was no mean fight, that was no small fight, and I needed to be stronger and more assertive.
Okay.
Yeah, so it depends. Yeah, it depends. But obviously, one has to have me time. You say I keep my life private. I don't know whether...
Not that we want to know about your grandkids or what's happening around you, but you just don't want to associate with too many people, maybe?
Well, networking is always important, but I think also networking with being intentional, what you are going to get out of the networks. Yes, I can't say the right people. Everyone is the right people. Even my own grandmother, Kumushaoko, is the right person. I mean, but one has to select what you are going to get out of that network. In my life, I know that I need to achieve the first priority in my life is my spiritual life, which obviously everybody wants to be a better person. In my own view is that I want to be closer to my God each and every day. And then therefore church fellowship and other issues around spiritual are very important to me. Then the second area of my life, which is very, very important, is family. So my husband is priority, so are my children and what they achieve. It's actually a big priority in my life. Then other than the core family, my father, my father is still alive, by the way. Wow. 94 years old at the moment. Wow. We are so blessed. Wow. He's a critical aspect. My siblings, my sisters, my brother, and my husband's family too. So, pretty much after you've done the spiritual and family, then you get to social. You find that you don't have as much. Yeah. Unless, in this world, we don't have enough time. Yeah. And then after the social, you also have educational. How do you edify yourself? How do you improve yourself? What are you doing? Are you reading a book or whatever? So it's quite... And then you have the physical aspect of your life. Sometimes I'm not very good, I'm not very disciplined, exercising and things like that. But those are important areas. So you find that as you look at around your life, around the wheel of life, so to speak, there's so much to do. So as a result, you have to learn to say no to some of the things. Wow. And you have to prioritize once again. And this is over and above the business issues that we've just...
I get it. So at what point in your career was your turning point?
Certainly my turning point was being appointed Chief Executive Officer of Rainbow Tourism Group in 2005. That was really a turning point. Prior to that, I was in very senior finance role as a senior executive. In fact, I was now the Chief Financial Officer of RTG before I was promoted to CEO. Okay. That definitely is a turning point, because you are coming from one discipline into a broader area. And it comes with a very strong sense of responsibility and assignment. I remember my dad, my father again, when I was telling him that I've been promoted and you get excited, he wasn't that excited. So when he set me down, he explained that, the higher you go, it's like climbing a mountain. And when you're on top of the mountain, it's very beautiful, isn't it? You know, the views are beautiful, you are enjoying the scenery. But all the winds that will come, they will hit you first, isn't it? And because you are on the mountain, you are also the most visible. So that sobered me a lot, to know that as you become a leader, you are not just doing it for yourself. You are doing it to serve other people. And whatever you do is actually something which society or every other young woman will be looking at and say, I want to be like that. Yeah. So if you do wrong, you are setting the wrong example or wrong precedence, because people look at leaders as role models. And once you start being associated with bad things, you then become that model that brings into other people's lives. So, you know, when I was appointed at RTG, I then adopted the prayer of Jabez every single day for the first year. I would kneel every single day and say, Thou bless me indeed, keep me away from evil, and continue to enlarge my territory. The prayer of influence, the prayer of being good, the prayer of just having a positive impact in whatever I do. And I believe that God has and continues to honor that prayer, because I still pray the prayer of Jabez. Not every, but occasionally I still do.
It's already answered.
It has been answered, but it continues to be answered.
Yeah, it continues to be
Yes, yes. Paul in the word says, not that I've attained it. Yeah. I don't think anyone would ever, as long as we are in this world, I don't think you ever say, this is it. You continue pressing forward.
Wow. Powerful. Powerful. So there is a topic that is so close to my heart.
Yes. Okay.
It's about women of influence, women in power. There is a misconception around them.
Okay.
Yeah. People usually think that they can't submit to their husbands.
Okay.
And they can't obey instructions. They are all about power. They don't understand what it is to take an instruction from a husband, or they don't know how to healthily coexist with their partners. How has been your journey with your husband?
Okay.
Because you have been and you are always a woman of influence, a career woman, a powerful woman.
Well, it's never easy. I must say it's never easy, but I'm blessed to have the husband that I have in Oliver Mtasa. Our background is that we're in the same class at university.
Wow.
So we started dating in our final year at university. And I think what defines us is that we are friends first.
Okay.
Before we became husband and wife. So our default outside of husband and wife is the friendship. Okay. We have a very deep friendship with my husband. Yes, over time it might be difficult, but that's when you need to get help from all over in terms of mentorship. And that's when also you need to clearly define your value system, your roles, and also to know that being a boss and a leader does not mean that you are now the boss and the leader in the home. You have different roles. And I always go back to the Proverbs 31 woman. The Proverbs woman, I always call her Mrs. Proverbs.
Okay.
Mrs. Proverbs was a hard worker, took care of her family, woke up in the morning, did everything. But she never really watched what Mr. Proverbs was doing. Mr. Proverbs, from what I know, for all I care, he would just spend all his day loafing about and sitting by the gate. I think in the modern days, spending time at the pub.
Okay.
And boasting about his wife.
Yeah.
And I've always challenged most women that it's not so much what your husband is doing, but it's how you are bringing value to him and how you are relating to him as the head of your family, as your husband, as your friend and confidant and father of your children. And if you want your marriage to work, you need to make certain commitments. I mean, these are things that are laid down by our Lord. It's in the like I say, you go back. Our manual is the Bible, isn't it? Yeah. What does the Bible say about marriage? There are painful things around submission there, and you have to pray around those things.
Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, you have to pray around those things, and also you find that sometimes as women we lack tact, and that's something that one needs to learn, both in the leadership of corporate as well as back in the home. You need to know who your partner is, what are his qualities, and how do you then converse with him. Similarly, it's like looking at your board of directors. You need to know who is your board chair, who are the board members, how do you report to them, what is it that they want, what is it they are like. But when you come home, by the time you get into the gate, you have to wear a different hat. You are no longer the boss when you get home. You have to be very clear around that. That's, to me, it has worked for me. For other women, maybe they have different formula. But for me,
okay. A quick
that
question.
is the formula.
A quick question on that one. Would you come back from work? Let's say you don't have helpers at home.
Mm-hmm.
You come back from work and your husband is home already, and you start cooking. You start putting things together, maybe cleaning or washing. What do you think about gender roles?
Yes,
you're tired, you're coming from work, and he is there. Maybe you spend the whole day at home.
Oh, well, it's not so much about him. You just have to make your home comfortable the way you wish to have it. And yes, I would cook. Yes, I would clean. But fortunately, I did not have to experience that. My husband always knew that I had a very high-pressured job. We always had house help. The few days that we didn't, yes, I had to wake up, make sure the kids go to school. I have to wake up, do their lunch boxes, leave the house at least in a tidy position, come back, clean, and cook. Yes, I had to do that. But obviously, others are privileged to have husbands who are understanding, who are able, who can even enjoy the cooking. And why not? I don't think we should stereotype or just put it into boxes that the husband does this, the wife does this. But the way the boy child was raised is certainly different from the way the girl child was raised. And you can't put all the blame to a husband who we think is not putting in an effort. We really need to understand deeper backgrounds and all that. Certainly, I've got my sons. The way now I've raised my sons is that obviously they also need to wash dishes, they need to clean their beds, they need to do laundry. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think especially from the tradition of our mothers and those before us, the way the boy child was raised was like, you are going to be the father, the head, who take care of earning a living for your family. In fact, I think this became misconstrued because even when he's not earning a living, He's not also pulling his weight. But what should be happening is that because of the yesteryear thinking that the girl child, all she was good at would be to come and have a family and and have children and stay at home. So there was kind of a separation of roles. But over time, things have evolved, and we need to adapt. But it doesn't put away the need for us to have respect. Respect for the husband. Hopefully the husband will also love the wife, as the Bible says, because it starts by saying, husbands, love your wives. So the wives also now need to honor their husbands and respect them.
Interesting. Okay, as we are about to wrap up, have you faced gender biases at work in your career?
You do that every time, all the time. At one stage, I always felt that a woman has to work twice as hard as a man. But fortunately, I think we thank God for our Zimbabwe Constitution, because it is clearly spelling out that we should have more women in positions right across sectors, right from parliament, which is the legislature, judiciary, everywhere, in the corporates that government owns, in the cabinet as well. They need to have more women. So, but and then there's now the Gender Commission, and I think there is a more awareness around women issues. But maybe even as recent as 5-10 years ago, I think acknowledgement of women was a bit less. And if you become a woman leader, there were always questions. How did she get there? Yes. Which is not a question which they would make to the male counterpart. It's always like, who is she associating with to get there? Or what did she do to get to that position? So you find that as a woman, especially in my early days of leadership, I felt I had to work twice as hard as the male counterparts. I had to, if I'm going into a board meeting, I knew I'm going for war. I would dress for war, prepare for war. My papers have to be right on point. But when you look at men now, and while yes, they are good and naturally, talented in some of the areas, but because they are more of them, they feel they are within a comfort zone. Yeah. So, but with time, you then and hard work, persistence, it becomes less and less.
Yeah.
Yes. So for any woman, it's not to give up, but certainly to do much more homework, to be much more methodical, and much more assertive, and keep on at it. People always acknowledge good work.
Correct.
As long as you're applying yourself, after a while people will say, yeah, I think this is good.
Wow, that's quite sound. Doc, how do you give back to the community, and how are you putting effort to mentoring the next generation?
Well, you spoke about I'm not seen, and I've said I'm seen. I try as much as possible through my church to participate and mentor where I can. I've got a number of mentees under me who I am challenging to do better in their lives, and I'm following up. And I also participate by assisting one or two of the young women who are talented through their education. And then, of course, one of the things that I feel strongly about is, they say charity begins at home. Some of the things that us women sometimes overlook is mentoring your house helps, the people you live with. What impact are you making? I am very intentional. I have maintained the same person I've had when my son was young. My son, who is now 24, when he was turning 25, by the way. I think he's turning 25. That's my youngest. And since he was 3 years old. And I like spending time with the ordinary woman of Zimbabwe. What does ordinary mean? People that you think don't have names. People you think are not doing anything fantastic, perhaps are kutengesa madomas to make a living. I've got great pride and great appreciation and respect for women like that. When you look at their stories, they are able to take their children through school, university even. I love that, and I spend a lot of time. Maybe that's why you don't see me in the circles that you think I should be, because I like the ordinary and the simple things of this world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, beautiful.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, your last words to the women across Africa.
In different sectors.
Well, I feel that this is the season for women. Women can blossom, can excel in whatever area, whether it's fashion, whether it's a business, even owning and running banks. Women can do it. And this is our season. Africa is so rich, resources-wise, but it is richer in the girl, child, and woman in Africa. We are strong, we are passionate, we are hardworking, and we are intelligent, and we can do it. And we are the next biggest thing that everybody will come and see in Africa, because we'll be running all these economies as women.
Wow. Well, Africa, I was seated with an authority. She's an authority, and as you could hear from her responses, she's a powerhouse. I was honored, and I'm honored, will forever be honored having you on this show. Thank you so much for gracing our platform.
Well, thank you.
All the best.
All the best.
Thank you so much. Goodbye, Africa, and see you next time.